Hey everybody, this is DM Mike, and this is the next prep video for Dragons of Icespire Peak, or DOIP. Right now I'm looking at Axeholm, because this is currently where my players are, and this week, last week when we played, we kind of went through a majority over here, just a majority of the lower halls. And so, really what's left? The upper halls, right? So I decided to just take a small portion here. Let's see if I can do this. Small portion here, just this. Oop, nope, not that. There we go. Just this area here. Not this little side room here, but just all this here, and flesh it out a bit more. This feels a little too tight for me to throw in all those spiders and the characters and have them move around comfortably, okay? Of course, the map is serviceable. You could use it, but I just felt like it just wasn't fluid and open enough for me to do that. And it's missing a lot of things too, right? So, I'm having to do this pretty quickly this week because of just life circumstances. So I kind of wish I would have done the whole thing all the way down to here, but I only had time really to bring this portion to life. So let's go ahead and look at that real fast here. Okay, so here it is in Dungeondraft. You can see here, not really all that complicated, right? I mean, it's just very, very straightforward. Left a lot of open space, and there's a reason for that. Let me just kind of zoom in just a little bit here. You can see here I've got more debris on the ground. That's what I'm kind of using Dungeondraft for now. I could have fleshed out everything, but now what I'm doing with Dungeondraft is using it just as a base floor plan, putting in extra stuff here. It looks a little pixelated. I don't know why. Maybe it's just this latest update. I'm not too sure. But, a lot of webbing. I can put down debris and all kinds of stuff. And here's like a lot of open space, only because that is this area down in here while I have arrow slits and pillars, right? So here I am just putting down some base stuff. I didn't want to put too much debris because that also become very distracting on the screen for players and their tokens and whatnot, but just enough to show, hey, there's destruction, there's webbing, this place is in really bad shape, but this is what I'm doing now. I'm not really fleshing out the map completely. Dungeondraft can do so much more on this. Don't judge the program on this one. I actually did bare minimum here just to give me a somewhat of a small floor plan, and only really just so I can have the spiders move a little more efficiently and people can actually take cover, let's say behind the wood piles, behind the rocks, or somewhere in these barrels. This could be a difficult terrain with the webbing on the floor, right? So they actually had visual representation. So now here's the next step. So I looked at the original map, I went to Dungeondraft, made a quick little floor plan. In the future, I would have rather done the whole thing, but don't have time to, so I just did this one little area. Now, we're going to take it to Tabletop Simulator, and I'll show you how it looks. Actually, no, let's back up for a second. Before I went to what am I doing? Tabletop Simulator, I had to create assets. I had to put, I have to create some kind of walls here and structure here for it to give it, so I could turn those things into tokens in Tabletop Simulator and actually have walls, right? So let's look at that real quick. Okay, here we are in this next step here. I didn't want to skip over this. This is in Adobe Sketchbook Pro, free program if you want to pick it up. I had to illustrate all of these wall pieces. I needed to have custom assets to bring into Tabletop Simulator to create tokens, and these actually are just wall pieces. That's all they are, just variants of wall pieces that I made for Axeholm. Some things are mix and match. Let me pull out just a little bit here so you can see a little bit more of these. Usually I'd start with a base, let's say this one right over here, and then I would connect two of them right there, and then I'd take my little single piece and add those on, and boom, I have a whole new wall structure. So it's a lot of little tiny individual assets that are created to create some depth and some variety. So these are the next step. This took about 3 to 4 hours to do, just creating these custom tiles and mixing and matching, and like something as simple as, let's look here, here's an arrow slit, but this one actually has some greenery in it, little things like that. It's just duplicated but given a little extra treatment. If we look at these walls here, they're practically the same, except I change the cracks and the breakage in the stone so it looks a little bit different, things like that. But all these are hand drawn, and then they're shot out as pings, and I'll take them into the next step, which is Tabletop Simulator, to create the wall pieces. All right, so let's hop into that. Okay guys, here we are. You might hear a lawnmower going on in the background. Nothing I can do about that, just neighbors getting busy with the grass. Anyway, here we are in Axeholm. As you can see here, this is where my characters left off, and the Fog of War is down, but they haven't really explored too much of the lower levels, and there's still this whole second level. Well, let's go look at exactly how I put everything together. Over here, I have a separate board, and now you can see the bottom here is the Dungeondraft stuff with all the details added in. But now, let's go into a little more angled view here. You can see all the walls and how they've been placed. In here, we can see the furnace and some of the piping and whatnot. Now I put the pipe here because I wanted a little more verticality for spiders to run along here or use it for cover. I thought that would be really important. It's kind of hard to describe on a 2D flat map. There's nothing there and you can't throw anything down, right? So that was the goal of all this, was to have 3-dimension, that they could work with. And here's the arrow slits. They can hop into that second room there. And of course, I think back here is where some other encounters can happen. And I haven't quite finished everything in here. I might put some props in there. But this is basically it. This is all the tokens in place, and we can get down to floor level here. Let me change camera perspectives. And the tokens, of course, can bounce around here on this kind of built-in grid, and we can have the entire encounter. There's a little bit of mist here. You can see the blue mist I've put in. There are doors. This one I kind of crashed down over here, and this one we actually can open. There's a function there to open it up. A little more furnaces back here, but here's all the token pieces, laid out symmetrically, and kind of add a little more dimension to things. And these here are older tokens from a map I did in Rise of Tiamat. So hey guys, just want to show you this real quick. Here's now we have 3 dimensions, right? We can actually have the spiders running around all kinds of, on the floor or up the furnaces or around the tops here. But here is the stairs they come up in, and this is just everything laid out. I'm going to do a few more things, maybe a few more props. The lighting is not here yet. It'll be much darker in this environment when we fire it up. But this is, just a simple thing we can do in Tabletop Simulator using really 3 different programs: Sketchbook Pro to sketch our little tokens out, and Dungeondraft to lay down our flooring or the blueprints, and then taking everything in a Tabletop Simulator and making these tokens, which is very easy to do. Once you've drawn everything, you just convert it to token. Tabletop Simulator does that for you. It makes it very, very easy. And again, I'll be able to use these tokens in the future for other things. Matter of fact, if I run, and probably will run this campaign again, I might just go ahead and build out Axeholm completely and put all these tokens to use, build out the first floor and the second floor, and it'll be a much bigger map with much more verticality and different things for the players to experience on game day. All right, guys, that's it. That's all I got for you. This is my prep for this week. Since the characters went in a totally different direction, I'm mostly prepped when it comes to the writing side of things. But anyways, that's it. The next video to come out will be a campaign diary for this Friday session. All right, guys, see you in the next one.